Next up, we're talking about the power of uncorrelated bets. We take a lot of bets here. So I feel like this is the conversation that we all need to be having. So even when you're talking about uncorrelated bets, the main topic becomes building robust portfolios. So for that, I'd like to invite Vidhi Chhera. She's the partner and head of quant research at Code, specializing in research automation and data-driven risk management. She builds robust pipelines, rigorously tests hypotheses, and aligns technology with strategy to deliver resilience performance. Passionate about markets and innovation, she thrives in collaborative, fast moving, and high impact environments. She's a partner and head of quant research at Code, and her experience spans portfolio analytics, execution, quant research, including back testing, factor modeling, and monitoring live systems, alongside mentoring peers and presenting insights to stakeholders. Please welcome on the stage with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, Hitika, for giving such a wonderful introduction. And thank you, Chintan, for inviting me here and, giving me an opportunity to share some valuable insights and add value to everyone's lives. So, today I want to talk about our own portfolios and how our portfolios should be diversified and on a first principle basis what exactly is needed for a true diversification. Now, we've all heard it 100 times, right? Time in the market beats timing the market. But let's be honest, investing is not so easy. Do y'all agree? Or is it easy? Right? I mean, it's been difficult for myself. So, we've lived through cycles of, hope and panic. Every couple of years, the world throws something at us. It throws a crash, a panic, a headline that convinces us this time it's going to be different. But the real question, I don't think, is whether we should stay invested or no. I think we all agree we should. But the important question is how long we should stay invested for compounding to do its job. Because compounding only works when participation will survive volatility. And surviving volatility is not about predicting what will happen next. It's about staying invested long enough to survive those drawdowns and have a balanced portfolio. So today I want to discuss about how the answer does not lie in predicting the next rally or predicting what will happen next, but by combining assets that will keep us in the game and what we should be holding alongside our equity exposure. How many of y'all follow global markets? US, Europe, I see a couple of hands. How many of y'all have actually followed the Karachi Stock Exchange? Quite a few, right? Imagine a market that has lived through unimaginable challenges, political instability, currency devaluations. There has been times where even liquidity completely froze. But today, it is one of the best performing markets in the whole world. Why? I mean, what happens is, if anybody would have waited for clarity to enter these markets, you think they would have made money? You think any algorithm would have predicted this? What I'm trying to prove here is my previous slide, where time in the market beats timing the market. It depends on how much you are willing to spend the number of years, how much patience you are willing to keep to be able to stay invested and live through it. So this Karachi lesson is a lesson, I think, for everyone around here, that markets will reward participation more than prediction. And in investing, honestly, uncertainty is the fee that we pay to earn compounding. And investors who stay compounded long enough will always end up getting overpaid. But investing is not, again, so easy. Imagine you would have entered the markets, entered Nifty before the 2020 crash, before the 2008 crash, after the 2021 highs. Next year, your portfolio will be sitting in red. Look at the crash numbers that I have given here. At this point in time, I'm standing here and saying that staying invested is important. But when we are sitting with 25-30% drawdown, our conviction will drop faster. But time and again, history has told us that after every crash comes an exponential recovery. So volatility is not the problem, it's endurance. Now, after looking at this, what I understand is I need to stay invested. I cannot avoid drawdowns. But can I design a portfolio that can help me survive those drawdowns? But again, the part of the reason why staying invested is a problem is most of our portfolios are concentrated at one story. Whether it's Nifty, Bank Nifty, or any of your favorite large cap funds, they all move together. So when equities fall, our diversified portfolio also falls. And so what happens is we are holding different funds. We are holding small cap, large cap, mid cap, all the funds. But they are all concentrated on one story, which is India's growth cycle. It's one idea. And when that one idea corrects, our whole portfolio will bleed in sync. So that basically is called correlation. It's just different names, same direction. And that is a hidden enemy, which will make us, good investors, take bad decisions. And those bad decisions will not help us survive in long term. So, for us to truly diversify, we need to understand in the first place why correlation even spikes. Now let's zoom out for a minute, right? Let's look at the macro picture. Why correlation spikes in the first place? The answer lies in one invisible force: global liquidity. When central banks print money, that money does not stay in government bonds. That money leaks into every risk asset class, you name it: real estate, equities, cryptos, all of them. Suddenly, funding became cheap, the credit expands, investor starts reaching for yield everywhere. In 2020, when pandemic hit, the central banks added $10 trillion in liquidity. And that single act lifted every market on the planet. But liquidity obviously cuts both ways. When central banks, pull the money back, credit lines will dry up, margin calls will start, leverages will start reducing, funding will become scarce. And when everything will correct together at that time, all the risk assets will start correcting together at that time, and that is not because the earnings got worse. It's just because money got tighter. So what happens is, Gaurav talk about earnings. Everybody talks about stock picking and how earnings are the alpha. At such extremes, even good companies will crash during bear markets, because at that time it's not about the earnings, it's about the funding conditions. So correlation spikes because that liquidity will act as gravity. And that's the mechanical driver of correlation, which it is liquidity, it's not sentiment. So now we understood why everything moves together: global liquidity. Now if liquidity drives all asset classes, risk asset classes, in the same direction, That means we need to find assets that don't depend on the same driver so that we can truly diversify. Which also kind of is an antidote of correlation. Do you all have any asset classes in mind that would actually help us diversify our equity portfolio? These are very common. Yes, commodities, international equity. Harshad, you wanted to say? Gold. Everybody knows these names. This is nothing new in that. But it is important to understand the fundamental reason of why these names are a diversification. What is the first principle basis behind why they move differently than equities so that we can allocate the right amount of capital in these assets? These are exactly the names which we spoke about. So equities, obviously, we have to find assets that dance to the different tune. These are the few ones that, everybody has access to. Like equities dance to the, liquidity and growth and central banks and printing money. Gold, on the other hand, is dependent on trust and real interest rates. It acts as a hedge when the liquidity is too high. When central banks start printing too much money, equities obviously will go up because of liquidity. But why would gold go up at that time? Because chances of recession becomes high. Gold will start acting as a hedge at that time. So that time, gold and equity both will rally. But when the economy is overheating, that time when equities fall, gold will stay stable or it may even go up. Then crude and commodities, they act, they depend on the supply chain and global demand. They rise when, the supply is tight. They fall when the demand weakens. Our USD INR pair, it dances to the, capital flows and oil imports. If foreign money is exiting the country, if oil prices rises, the rupee will weaken. So the key idea is you want to combine assets that diversify your portfolio. So your combined portfolio, the drawdown of your combined portfolio will rarely align. The individual drawdowns of these assets will not come together. And that will be the key where you will be able to survive those drawdowns. Let's take a simple example of Nifty and gold. If we step back and look at history, every time Nifty has crashed, gold has performed well. 2020, when Nifty was down 38%, gold was up 20%. 2011, when Eurozone crisis hit, Nifty was down 25%, gold was up 32%. This is what I'm talking about. So we have an internal tool, we call it a portfolio visualizer, where we combine multiple assets and we get a portfolio for us, which can help us understand how the portfolio is behaving over multiple years. So I've taken a snapshot of that, where I have given the returns of Nifty, the returns of gold individually, and a combination. I've just taken a easy 50-50 weight and a yearly rebalance assumption. And over the last 15 years, if you see, Nifty has given 10.5% returns. Gold has given 12% returns. The combined portfolio has given similar returns. But what is important to see in that is the maximum drawdown number. If we were holding Nifty alone, we would have seen a 38% drawdown. If we had added gold to the portfolio, our drawdown would become half. Now we are sitting at a 21% drawdown. Now we don't have that anxiety, we don't have that panic. There are more stats that I have added to this. Rolling return is an important number that we see where, at any point in time, if we enter, again, I'm saying time in the market beats timing the market, right? So I don't want to time the market. I want to be invested in the market throughout. So if I see the 3-year period, the second row, the lowest the combination of Nifty and gold, the lowest return is flat, which means that I'm not losing my capital. My capital is safe. If otherwise, at any point in time, over the 3 years, I would have otherwise been down maximum 6% if I was only holding Nifty. Of course, there are more stats. We can keep going on with the stats. But then again, I also don't have enough time like everyone else. I would like to move ahead. So, the bell rang. So, what I'm trying to say is, it is important to combine. So, Nifty and gold was one very good combination, which I think everybody should have in their portfolios. And at the same time, but the previous speaker spoke about the global diversification. I would like to add on to that. It is very important to have global equities as a part of diversification. When I say global liquidity would obviously be the main driver, but when the liquidity is stable, every country has its own story, right? Let's say US went up because, there was an AI boom. Taiwan doubled its wealth because the world wanted chips. Pakistan, as I mentioned, has been, despite whatever chaos, has been one of the best performing in the whole world. So the next decade's wealth that we want to build should not be dependent on one economy. We should not be betting on one economy. We should have an outlook of global portfolio. We should try and diversify into that, because again, the drawdowns will not align at that time. And today I understand that 95% of Indians, all of us, have our portfolios concentrated in one economy. We are all betting on India to shine. But it is important to add this buffer. And I know and I understand that today it is not so easy to invest in global markets. But we as professionals, as allocators, what Mr. Harish also spoke about, the Gift City Fund, we have to try and push the boundaries and help each and every person get an idea as how we can invest in global equities. Because what we don't want to be mercy at a single economy. For us, it is important that our money is safe. For us, it is important that we can sit through it for the next 25 years. And to be able to do that, we have to start thinking beyond the borders. We have to start looking at world as a single opportunity set rather than sitting on, one portfolio. So what I would like to say, everyone, is for us, we should keep our core in equities. That is our growth engine. Gold is our trust layer. We should definitely add gold to our portfolio. We should add commodities, the USD exposure, which can help us give a macro level hedge. And that will help us, survive through the long run. So the goal is not just to be a global investor. The goal is not just to maximize returns in 1 year. The goal is to minimize regret every year. So today, the homework for everyone is to go home, look at your own portfolios, see where you are most exposed, see which story you hold the most, where you're concentrated on, and try to diversify that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vidhi.